Okay, it's 2 o'clock, so we're going to call the April 1st meeting of Rules and Government, Open Government Committee to order. So let's start with roll call, please.
Candelas.
Here.
Duan.
Here.
Foley. Here. Kamei absent. Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And we will start by reviewing the final review of our council meeting agenda for next Tuesday, April 7th, with a 9:30 closed session and a 1:30 regular session. We have consent starting on page 4, continuing on pages 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Section 3, we have the establishment of a governing AI coalition. Section 6, Willow Rock Long Duration Energy Storage Agreement and San Diego Community Power Resource Adequacy Trade. Section 8, Story Road Business Improvement District, and a loan commitment for VTA's Capital Station Affordable Housing Development. Also, Second Amendment to the Annual Action Plan for 25-26, and Lower Income Voucher and Equity Program Amendment. Do we have any members of the public?
No public comment.
Okay, back to the committee.
Move approval. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, so we'll vote. Okay, the motion carries 4-0. And now we do our first review of the council agenda for Tuesday, April 14th, with a 9:30, 1:30 closed and open session and a cancellation of the evening session. The consent starts on page 5 and continues on pages 6, 7, 8, and 9. In Section 3, we have issuance of tax-exempt multifamily housing bonds. In Section 5, we have transportation priorities for VTA under SB 63. Section 6, consultant agreement with Brown and Caldwell. In Section 8, we have an agreement with Santa Clara County Housing Authority that will be heard in conjunction with with the Santa Clara Housing Authority item at the end of the agenda, and then after item 10.1. So that's one item on land use. No, that's not a land use consent item. I guess that's the item. Where's 10.1? Oh, 10.1 is on the later in the agenda. Oh, down here. Yes, there's one item on land use consent, and after that we will hear the Housing Authority item followed by along with 8.1. All right.
No public comment.
No public comment. Back to the committee.
Move for approval.
Any questions or comments? We have a motion and a second, so we'll vote. Motion carries 4-0. Got a little confused by all that end of the agenda. All right, consent. We have 4 items on consent today. We have public comment on consent?
Brian, please go ahead and make your way to the podium.
Good afternoon. I hope everybody's doing okay. I would like to bring up, there's one thing about consent. It used to be when rules was run down the hall, consent letters to the public record was separate on the agenda. That got combined. So I was thinking, I know we want to be more efficient, but I've sent several dozen emails. I don't expect people to respond to all of them, but I'm just thinking, when you don't get any response other than like, thank you for contacting us, we'll get back to you in 72 hours, which is usually, that's been like a month ago. And I know people are busy, but I was just thinking, instead of just coming up and complaining, why not offer an answer? I sent everybody an email again about using AI to actually harvest the non-private information for, from each email, farming it out, and a response at least so somebody could say like, we got something back. I mean, I've written President Trump a whole bunch of times. Every single time I've got something back, I know he doesn't read it. I don't think anybody in his staff reads it. Probably doesn't even go anywhere near the White House. But at least it makes us feel like we're making a connection. I just think that's important. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. So do we have a motion on consent?
Move approval. Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Did you want to pull something on consent?
No, I was going to make a comment, but you didn't see it.
Oh, all right, let's vote. Okay, motion carries 4-0. Now we're on to the two action items. These are both items that were sent for workload analysis and are coming back. We've heard them before. So we'll start with item 1, our emergency interim housing siting policy. Any comments from the workload analysis? It's greenlit.
Yeah, only that it's a green light. This can proceed under existing staff capacity in the housing department.
Okay, great. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, back to the committee. Any?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any requests to speak? If not, we'll vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you so much. And now our second item, this is the Alfresco 2.0. Again, workload analysis, green light. All right, no issues. Public comment on this one?
Jordan, please go ahead and make your way to the podium.
Hi, Jordan Moldow, District 3. I just wanted to speak in strong support of the Alfresco program. I just got back from a week-long vacation in San Francisco with my 2 dogs. Can't eat inside, but you can eat outside. And in San Francisco, basically every restaurant district has at least a few restaurants with outdoor dining available. It's really nice, really comfortable. And it would be great to see more of that in San Jose. The memo didn't make mention of parklets at all, so I'm unclear to me whether this policy is about dining on the sidewalk or just dining anywhere outside in the public right-of-way. With regard to parklets specifically, again, I'm in support of them. I remember after the pandemic when some of the parklets started getting removed, one of the barriers I remember a business owner telling me about was the cost of having to rent these cinder blocks to protect the parklet from cars. I don't know much detail about that. That's just something I remember being told about, that was a requirement and a cost. And I hope we would, if parklets is included in the scope of this plan, I hope we would consider removing expensive requirements like that. There were no cinder blocks that I saw in San Francisco, just reflective poles in front of the parklets so that cars would see them at night. And I saw in the memo the phrase by right. When we study the other municipalities that do this, I would just want to see, do they also do this by right? I could imagine potential unforeseen consequences doing that. So maybe just see, is that does that work well in other cities, or should we do it in a slightly different way? Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Okay, thank you for public comment. We'll turn to Vice Mayor Foley first.
Thank you. I'm happy to see this going forward, but I'm concerned that it doesn't allow small businesses in other parts of the city that are not in the downtown, not urban villages, and not in business improvement districts, that they don't have the ability to have the parklets or the outside dining that others do. So I hope that when it comes forward, we'll be able to take that into consideration as well, because all of our businesses who have the physical capability should be able to have this opportunity to expand their business and have business outdoors. So I'm just a concern that it very limiting to a certain areas and doesn't speak to my District 9.
Sounds like a good topic for a memo on the Friday
It
before
sounds,
the
well,
council
I may
meeting.
be setting it up for a memo, so we'll just see. So with
you.
that, I will move approval.
All right, I don't see any other hands, so let's vote. Okay, that motion carries 4-0, and we will conclude with open forum.
Brian?
I'm here again to bring up the idea that I think would be very good for the city is a day of recognition for crime victims of all kinds. I think one thing that approach these people in a group is that they feel violated. Now, granted, there's a big difference between violent crime and somebody who had their car broken into, but the sense of losing your connection with safety, environment, stuff, it does affect you. I've been mugged several times, had a gun pulled on me, a knife, had my life threatened a few times, and it does affect you. You know, it probably shouldn't. I don't know if that makes me a coward or not, but it does affect me. I still go out and stuff, but there are people who've gone through a lot worse. And I would recommend, please, there's an email. I also included organizations that deal with specific areas of crime victims, because one of the people on the committees mentioned that they want to have local organizations that will sponsor this. That makes sense to me. The other thing is the next round of cuts that's coming will affect people with disabilities, people with developmental disabilities, people with mental health issues. And I've been in this field since I was in special ed as a student through the 60s and started working with people with disabilities in 1980, and I still haven't stopped. So I think I have some collective memory. People do lose their housing, people do go on the street, and people do die, a lot more than you think. Almost rival the people who are in convalescent hospitals, and that death rates in some of those places that I've worked at have come back to work after maybe 2 days off and lost half your students. Now that affects a person, but it's the people who've gone through it and the families. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. Thank you. Have a good day.
Jordan?
Jordan Moldow, District 3. A few weeks ago, there was a presentation here. I wasn't here, but I watched it online about the rules for the standing committees and how they, refer policy or request, staff work. And I understand it was just a statement of this is what the existing policy is, but it seemed a little weird to me where policy recommendations can be referred directly to council, but staff work recommendations have to go through rules, which seems like an extended process. And it reminded me of when we sunsetted the Vision Zero Task Force. We said one of the reasons for doing that was because T&E has power to refer things to council to be able to take certain actions that we might want to make. So the presentation sort of seemed at odds with what I thought was the case, which is that the T&E committee could refer things through council. It seems to me that standing committees are supposed to be subject matter experts in their field, and if they have a proposal that they want to bring through to staff, it seems like it would make sense that they could refer that directly to city council rather than going through a roundabout process of going to rules first. And so I understand that that was a statement of what the existing rules are, but I wonder if there should be some sort of change where if a T&E committee or a different standing committee is hearing an item on a specific topic that they have knowledge of and they have an idea of, hey, maybe we should have staff do X instead of Y, that they could then refer that directly to council for consideration rather than having to go through a roundabout process through rules. And maybe the standing committee can request those workload analyses that would go through council with the referral. So just something to consider is whether that should be a potential rule change to maybe streamline that and make the standing committees be able.
Back to the committee.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned at 2:14 p.m.